Hey there, welcome to Main Street Living. I am your host, Quincy Carr.
I'm Brandy Paul.
And I'm Danielle Alvari.
All right, well, good to see you, ladies. I know that we're, just about halfway or more than halfway through this month. Are you sticking to any of your New Year's resolutions?
I am. I'm actually
I
so
am.
proud of myself. So
Yeah.
I'm 41. I can no longer eat a bag of Chex Mix and have a Mountain Dew in one sitting and not see the results like 20 minutes later. So I'm really trying to focus on not only getting my workouts in, but really focusing on how I'm fueling my body, not just feeding my face.
Right.
And then savings wise, my husband and I are at a point where we're really starting to think about, okay, where do we want to retire? How can we make this a reality instead of just a big dream? So big financial goals on the horizon too.
Big
That's awesome.
financial-
Quincy, how about you? How have you been doing with your goals?
I can't remember what goal I set at the beginning of the year, but
Your goal was to be a good person.
then I think I'm messing that up. Okay.
If I'm being honest.
I'm trying to be the best I can be. No, you know what? I think I'm still being there because my goal obviously is to wake up every day and be better than I was before, right? Be better than I was the day before. And then in the midst of being as great as you can be, you hope to impact the lives of people who are connected to you in a positive way. So far, haven't had any threats. I think I'm doing okay. Yeah. Now, last year, I remember you had a goal of reading a book, and we never asked you to follow up on that. So,
Yeah.
is that still your New Year's resolution?
Yeah, I set a goal way too high, which we'll talk about later on in the show, of how many books to read that year. I did read more than I read the previous year, and I'm going to chalk that up to a win. But this year, I talked about wanting to be more flexible and also not just stretching, literal stretching, but also just in my life in general, being a flexible person. But I love Brandy's goal of finance and retirement, and we're going to talk about that on today's show as well. Lots of great stuff coming up.
Yeah,
You
and
got that right.
health, what I'm focusing on, health can encompass so many different things, your mental health, your physical health. We're going to visit a place where they really capture all of that, Valle del Sol. Also, maybe your New Year's resolution, a new hobby. How about glass blowing? We'll take you there.
Wow, something new. And another thing with Black History Month coming up around the corner, we got a teaser that you don't want to miss. Black Storytellers right from Rhode Island.
Yes, and maybe we'll get a little visit from one of our Main Street Living hosts. But coming up first, where are you at with your New Year's resolution goals? We have Jim White here to help us get back on track right here on Main Street Living.
Hey guys, welcome back to Main Street Living. Just like getting this show started, January is here. And for those of us who are in the gym regularly, we know the first couple of weeks of the month, it can be a little rough because the gym is packed, but usually the crowds start to thin out around the middle of January, right?
That's right. And you guys know I'm a certified personal trainer. I coach at Orange Theory. So I see this year over year and I try to keep people inside. But this is about the time that a lot of people make those resolutions and start to kind of give up on them. But Jim White is here with some tips for those of you who want to make your fitness goals a reality this year. Welcome to the show, Jim.
Thanks for having me.
So we recently passed National Quitters Day. Okay. I'm proud to say I'm still going strong. My goal was to keep stretching. I'm doing it. But the second Friday in January and the day when most people have given up on our New Year's resolutions, why do we give up on our goals so easily?
Well, yeah, 50% of people fail by now. And I think one of the biggest reasons is that it's too lofty of goals. I have a lot of people that come in to see me as a registered dietitian or a trainer to say, I want to lose, 20 pounds in a month. And I think they go on strict diet regimens and they just run out of steam, and by just 15 days they fail. So I think that's one of the biggest reasons.
All right, so you see this all over social media, talking with friends and family. What's your number one New Year's resolution? It's health and fitness, right? And then people fail. So how do we shift that mindset, shift our approach to health and fitness?
Well, I think it's the opposite, setting baby step goals, micro goals. And that is maybe, what is your goal by next week, by next month, and then have one for a long-term goal. And breaking them down, simple steps, and giving yourself a little reward at each one of them will get people strung along to be able to do this and to make it a lifestyle.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I mentioned that my New Year's resolution was to stretch more and just convincing myself, well, just do 2 minutes of stretching. And then you do the 2 minutes and suddenly that turns into 5 and it just adds on from there. So I love micro goals. What are kind of the secrets of people who actually follow through on their resolutions?
Well, number one, they have a plan. And I always recommend it's all about time management. The number one reason why people fall off is because of time, lack of time.
Mhm.
If you have kids, you're running around with your head cut off or you're working. So we have to fit it in. A 30-minute workout each day is only 2% of our day. So maybe look into your schedule. Are you watching maybe too much Netflix? Could you go on a treadmill and watch Netflix? Or, what are those things that are time zappers? And fit in the 30 minutes. 30 to 60 minutes is what the American College of Sports Medicine recommends to do, whether it's weight training or cardiovascular training, to really improve heart health and live a life of vitality.
So one of the things that I know I struggle with, I try and eat healthy and clean sometimes, but man, the holidays got me. I could not pass a baked good without it was like a beacon. How do we get back on track with our health starting this new year?
Well, start with those vices. What are the things that you do on a habitual basis that are causing problems? Is it drinking too much wine? Maybe if you drink 2 or 3 glasses of wine a day, cut it in half to start. Is it big portions at dinner or eating a lot while you're going out? Well, cut those portions in half. Could it be late night eating? Well, maybe just stick to a small snack of under 150 calories before you go to bed. Or if it's skipping breakfast, maybe we need a good sound breakfast to fuel our day. But by having these small check on your vices, it could make a big difference in the long run.
Absolutely. And I think nutrition and fitness go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. And it's so great that you're a nutrition and fitness expert. We're all rolled into one. What are some things you focus on with your clients?
Well, I have them embrace technology. I mean, we're in a day and age that we are being monitored. And, with it, whether it's an Apple Watch, a Fitbit, the Oura Ring, we can see how many calories we're burning. We can see how good we're sleeping. And so let's embrace that. MyFitnessPal or Nutrition IX to chart your foods. I mean, we can really get this down to the science. And with that accountability, it can really improve adherence. How about finding an accountability partner? Research shows by finding a friend or a personal trainer or a registered dietitian or someone to help you, even a group, will increase adherence by 30%. So, these are the type of things that this is a hard thing to do. I've been doing this for 22 years and, it is not easy. I've seen people struggle. It's really hard to eat healthy and exercise. And so using these tips, having the accountability can be a way to win this new year.
Obviously, plans are going to be different for everyone, depending on their age, where they're at, male, female, their goals. But do you have any golden rules? High protein, fruits and veggies every day, no alcohol, anything that for everyone, this is something to think of?
Definitely. Protein is king when it comes to strength training. In fact, the people over age 40 lose about 10% of muscle mass per decade. So it's really important to get that protein in and recommending at least 20 to 30 grams at each meal. The research shows it can increase muscle building about 46% later in the evening. So protein is king. A lot of people are just getting rid of the carbohydrates, and we need these for fuel. They provide fiber, which helps decrease cholesterol. It's great for our GI health. It also has B vitamins that releases the energy from food. So this can make our workouts come to life. And then we definitely need essential fats. Not a lot of the dirty fats, which are your butters and creams and fried food and pastries. We can have a little bit of that for fun, but we need that olive oil, that avocados, almond butter, a lot of those essential fatty acids, fats that's going to improve our health. And then water. Water is essential to life. In fact, being dehydrated can affect athletic performance dramatically. So drinking half of your body weight, staying hydrated are some of my biggest tips this year.
Yeah, well, you had me at I can have a little butter for fun. So I love that because we're always good with moderation, like you said, not having too strict of goals. But for those of us who had maybe too strict of goals, already fell off of those New Year's Eve goals, should they set new ones?
I really believe in redemption. And that's the great thing when it comes to fitness nutrition. Tomorrow, you can start and really change your life. It takes about 3 months for a pretty dramatic body transformation. So if you screwed up and you quit, start tomorrow, forget about it. We got to do this the rest of our life. It's not a short game. So we might as well start now to improve our health.
You know, one of my favorite analogies is if you drop a plate and break it, are you going to take your entire set and throw it on the floor and break it? No, you're going to pick up the pieces and keep on going. I love that. I thought it was great. All right. So viewers want to know more. They want your tips and your advice. How do they get in touch with you or get more information?
They can visit jimwhitefit.com. We take insurance for nutrition through Optima, Anthem, Cigna, Aetna, and we do personal training, one-on-one corporate wellness. I'd love to see you guys stop by.
Awesome. It's so good to have you in person, Jim. We usually just see you in our packages. So we're excited to have you in person. Thanks for joining us.
Great to be here.
All right. So lots of good stories and advice there. Up next, we're going to keep them coming. The power of a good story. Welcome back to Main Street Living. You know, hearing a good story is not only entertaining, it can actually change the way we think and we feel. Stories speak to us in ways that sometimes facts and figures just can't.
Yes, and our next guest is the director of a group in Rhode Island that is working to preserve and grow the art of storytelling. Please welcome in Valerie Tutson. Valerie, thanks for joining us as a guest today, not just a Main Street Living host.
I know, it's such a fun thing to be sitting here with you both today. Thank you so much.
Of course. So we know you as one of the new hosts of Main Street Living, but you're also the executive director of the Rhode Island Black Storytellers Association, which is celebrating its 25th anniversary this year. Congratulations. How and why did this group organize?
Oh my goodness. You know, we started 25 years ago when I had just come back from a trip to South Africa, and there was an opportunity to do some programming in Rhode Island that would celebrate Black arts and artists and community. So I gathered a couple of my storytelling mentors and I said, hey, what if we started with the year with a Black Storytelling Festival, and let's call it Funda, which is a Zulu word that means to learn, and it looks like fun. So that's how we got started in a nutshell. We called ourselves the Rhode Island Black Storytellers, and we got excited because that is ribs, which is a wonderful cultural nod right over there. Quincy, I see you smiling.
Yeah, well, I'm smiling because it's always good to see when we can come together and then put out something that just kind of spreads, you know, like the depth of our culture. So you got to tell us, like, who are the storytellers and what are they? Well, where do they perform?
Yeah. You know, we've always from our inception wanted to present the diversity of Black storytelling, because sometimes we think there's only one way of being Black in this world. And of course, that's not true. So this year, we've got a storyteller who hails from Brazil, and we've got another storyteller who's coming in from Jamaica. We've also got a woman from Baltimore, and she's like, you know, comes from Baltimore and wants everybody to know it. And then we've got another storyteller who lives in Philadelphia, but who plays traditional instruments from West Africa. He plays the kora. His name is Kala Jojo. So we've got, and then of course, we've got our storytellers right here in Rhode Island as well.
Wow. Wow.
Such a diverse group. And speaking of your remarkable storytellers, you brought along a performance poet today. Let's bring him in. Marlon Casey, welcome to Main Street Living.
Hi, everybody. How you doing?
Hey.
So,
Pleasure to be
Marlon,
here.
we're so pleased to have you here, obviously. Why is storytelling so much more powerful than just telling someone a fact or teaching a lesson?
Oh, man. A story, as human beings, we're primed to receive and be receptive to, narrative. It's how we've been passing information on, since the time immemorial. There's a bear over there, or there's a saber-toothed tiger or something. We are primed for narrative. And I feel like, it's a way to remember things. Many different cultures tell stories and give, warnings to the youth, or, talk about life, through story. So it's memorable for me. It's really key to keep the memories inside of ourselves.
I like that. And many societies, Marlon, use storytelling as a way to preserve history. So do you feel like that's a part of your mission overall?
I mean, I think certainly it's part of my personal mission, but it definitely is a part of the Rhode Island Black Storytellers since the inception. I mean, I came along, I guess, maybe about 6, 7 years ago, and I had the honor of being the production manager this year. But really, from the beginning, we've been looking back, and we always intended to be a catalyst for community, and a big
Mhm.
part of it is really sharing and continuing the story. We are the keepers, in a way, of the stories, as the griots, of the African tradition have been, and we take that honor very seriously. So yes, it's a big part of our mission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Valerie, you guys put on an annual event that you mentioned, Funda Fest. It's happening right now, and you said
Yes.
Funda is a Zulu word for to learn. What can you tell us about Funda Fest? What can we learn about it?
Well, this year we're calling it our Sankofa celebration because it's our 25th year. And Sankofa is a terminology that comes from the Akan people in Ghana. And it means to look back and to take the wisdom of the past and bring it to the present so that you can fly forward into the future. And so this year we have we have all these programs, and we have returned to this notion of a catalyst for community. So we're working with 10 organizations locally in our community so that they can curate some festivals. So we've got Black History Live, we've got Outspoken, which is a poetry event, and an open mic. We have our infamous Liars Contest that's going to happen, and folks can sign up and tell their biggest lie before a panel of judges. We've got Sacred Storytelling, Family Fun Fest, all kinds of things.
Wow. Well, there's a lot of excitement clearly coming from you, and like this would just be enticing from anyone to want to see. But with all this talk about stories, right? I'm wondering, Marlon, maybe you have time to stick around and maybe tell us a story?
I will. I'll stick around.
Perfect.
Awesome.
All right. Well, guys, stay right there. We have story time coming up next with Marlon right on the other side of the break. We'll see you there. Stay right there.
Welcome back to Main Street Living. We have been talking with Valerie Tutson, who we said goodbye to. We'll see next time on Main Street Living. But we have Marlon Casey still here with us from the Rhode Island Black Storytellers Association. And we, of course, couldn't let him go without hearing a story.
Yeah, Marlon. We brought you back for a reason. So would you mind sharing one of your favorite stories with us, my man?
My pleasure. This is a story I wrote for my daughter, who is now 15, when she was about 4 years old. This is the story of the Chocolate Nachos, a snack I invented with my best friend Paco with some minor assistance from Rocco, Renee, and Flacco. But let me stop, though, so I can tell you a little bit or a lot so you can truly understand that sneaky, underhanded, no good, dirty, rotten so-and-so named Rocco. See, Rocco is that bully from up the block, yo, who broke my yo-yo, ate my Oreos, and put rocks in my socks. He even wrote my favorite CD by Tupac, that darn Rocco. He just comes over that day with his little sister Renee and her scraggly old teddy bear named Flacco, and sticks his grubby little sausage fingers right into the chocolate nachos. And well, it all started with me and Paco. We were trying to find the distraction, the deviation from his stepmom's gazpacho when we happened upon the aforementioned chocolate nachos. Now, we almost invented the chocolate taco, but we Googled it and found they already got those. Now, Paco swears it's all because he put in so many nachos, but I poured in the most chocolate. He must have forgot them. You know, Paco. He lies a lot, though. He says his mom won the lotto when they won a lot, so they're going to move away any day now anyway. Anyhow, this is about the time when Rocco comes bursting in through our unlocked door, and with her teddy bear in tow comes his little sister Renee, who cries a lot. No matter what you do to get her to stop. Hey, Renee, how about some leftover party pretzels and a bowl of this delicious gazpacho? She started crying and running away from us as if we had the chicken pox or work for the Gestapo. She ended up in the living room where she slipped on a slimy sock, so she tripped on the rug and swallowed a bug and soiled her frock. And that darn Rocco, that insufferable Rocco, pushes her over the line. He goes, "Stop your crying." And all this time, Flacco, the bear, is flying through the air and almost lands in the chocolate nachos, which would have been a catastrophe Phew! Rocco leaps into the air, snatches the bear, but knocks over the entire pot of gazpacho and spills a bag of mini marshmallows. But he saved the chocolate nachos, so we just cleaned up the mess and laughed so hard till we cried. And then the tears in Renee's eyes just stopped. So we decided it was finally time to try these chocolate nachos. We approached it like new chocolate apostles. It was the true snack gospel. We each took a bite and instantly felt colossal. Chocolate nachos made even the impossible Rocco act less hostile. He slid over ever so slyly to me and Paco and asked, was it possible for he, Renee, and Flacco to have chocolate nachos to go? And we said, heck no. But before we had a chance to see the time on the clock, Rocco snatches the entire bowl and runs out the front door. And I would like to tell you more about the story of the chocolate nachos. But for now, that's all I got, yo.
Nice. Nice.
So good.
Got
Wow.
it.
I mean, you just made so many parents' jobs so much harder because no one can make up a story like that for their kids. That's incredible.
Thank you,
Wow.
thank you.
Wow. So gotta ask you, like, what's the best part, that brings enjoyment about you performing?
I really, really enjoy and have always enjoyed performing and sharing with people. I consider myself a communicator, some sort of vessel for information. And sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's healing information. But I performed today for a group of pre-kindergarten students, and it was the best thing I had done all year. It was a wonderful time. Shouts to EBCAP in Newport. It was a beautiful show on behalf of Ribs, on behalf of Funda Fest. And it's really important for me to have that moment of just sharing and resonating. And I really love being a storyteller. It's awesome.
I could tell.
Of course. And I know that Cox is proud to be a sponsor of Funda Fest for all of
Yes,
the things you
indeed.
guys do and work with Ribs. How can viewers get in touch with you and get tickets for Funda Fest?
You can go to fundafest.org and you could use the coupon code sponsor2023 and you may be able to get a discount. We have a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to see some great stories. I would love for you to come and check us all out. Thank you so much, you guys, for letting us be on the show. It's an honor.
No problem. Now, before we let you go, we got a little time. So I'm going to try something in flow with everything that had the O at the end. So here we go. Okay. All right. Thank you, Marlon. We loved your story. So this whole entire segment had a beautiful flow. Although we got to go to commercial break. If you don't come back with us, that will be a no. You like that?
Okay, Marlon, how do you do?
That boy got skills for show. Thank you.
Well, if you loved what we did in this segment, make sure you can check out Funda Fest online as well. There's online access, so check it out. Thank you so much to Marlon Carey for joining us today.
Thank you much, guys.
Awesome.
All right, and stick with us. Quincy, you already know.
Yeah, well, we got an art in another form coming up next. You got to stay right there.
Hey there, and welcome back into Main Street Living. Now, you already know there are so many reasons to shop local. If you can buy fresher food from a local grower or one-of-a-kind art from a local creator, it's a win-win for the whole community.
Yeah, that's right. Artists contribute so much to the culture and vibrancy of their communities. Not only do they make their spaces more interesting, but they can also connect and inspire their neighbors too.
Oh, yeah, you bet. We just heard about the way the art of storytelling is impacting the Rhode Island community. Now we want you to check out the incredible creations by a glass artist in Providence.
The first time that I had seen glass making in 1997, I fell in love with it. It's a very seductive medium. And it's full of challenges, which I liked, and it's very hands-on. For tens of thousands of years, humans have gathered around fire. It's a really important part that I don't want to see gone. We still need that. It's really important. The very first part of the process of every cup is to go to the furnace put the pipe in the furnace and spin the glass up like a stick in honey. That's called a gather. That's how every piece starts. It starts in its infancy in our glass furnace at 2,000 degrees. After we get the gather, we'll form and shape it with different tools. And then we'll take it using heat and gravity, fire, and start to form it into what we want to see. We work in teams of two. It's a traditional old world style glass making. We'll work together almost like a choreographed dance. I'm very thankful to have people by my side like that in this journey. Just give it a little vibration here. Snaps right off. You can go to school for glass making, and that's great, but you need the experience and the time under your belt. You know, roughly about 10,000 hours. I would say glass helps me be centered. A lot of people that come in here and take classes, they feel that same feeling. There's no playbook for glass. That's the tricky part. There's so much you can do with the material that keeping it simple sometimes is the toughest thing to do. So now that we have a general understanding of how these cups are made, this is the finished product. Anytime I'm making an object or anybody here at Gather to go out into the world, there's a lot of emotion and feeling that's invested into it. We love what we do, but more importantly, we like it when people love what we do. One of the other big parts of Gather is being part of our community. If we don't have our community, we don't have anything. So if we can support our community where it needs it most, for instance, we make a honeybee glass. There's a portion of the proceeds from the honeybee glass that go to the Rhode Island Food Bank. Very important in times like these. If there's one positive thing that we can get out of this pandemic, it's to really realize that this world is extremely small and we're all part of it together. So we really need to take care of each other. And we need to give back.
Wow, ladies, I have to be honest. I'm amazed with two things after watching this piece here. One, that's how you make glass. Had no idea, right? But number two, the guy that was talking, he set crisscross applesauce for the entire segment. I would have caught a cramp right up here in my upper thigh area. Pretty cool.
Yeah, and hopefully maybe they can add teaching yoga or stretching to their repertoire of classes they offer. But you can find more info about the Gather Glass Studio, the classes they offer, and even shop some handmade products on their website, gatherglass.com.
Well, you know, it's probably because I'm getting old, but, you know, coming up next, this segment is perfect because we're going to learn how to save money for retirement. No more cramps.
Welcome back into Main Street Living. Now, unfortunately, for quite a while, it feels like now, we've been hearing rumors and warnings about an impending economic downturn or recession. And while that's not something we can really control, there are things we can do to be better prepared.
That's true, Danielle. Lori Rowley is here with some great advice on how we can get our own finances ready for anything that's heading our way. Welcome to Main Street Living. Lori, how are you doing?
Hi, thanks for having me here. I'm great, thanks. How are you?
Well, you know, getting a little scared. I mean, we're hearing from every side that we're heading for an economic downturn. So should we be as afraid as I look right now?
I don't think so. It happens. It hasn't happened in a while, so we're all kind of used to it not happening. But these things are kind of normal in the economic outlook. Of course, when in the middle of it, it can feel really scary. And part of that, I think, is due to some folks if they don't have their finances in order. So I think that there's a sort of calm feeling that can happen as we kind of go up and down in the market if you kind of feel like you have your financial situation squared away.
Wow. So Lori, if you do try and plan for those up and downs, but then you're really tight, you're watching your purse strings, savings, it seems like, is the first thing you turn to. What's your advice regarding that?
turn to something else. Like I would, so there's a couple of things that I'm telling folks to do. So it's funny that actually savings goes up in economic downturns because people feel like I got to have something here if something goes wrong, which is the right instinct, but you should keep doing it all the time. But there's a couple of things that we've been talking about with folks in our community that can really help them reduce their costs and then either save or continue to save. So 2 areas that I tell people to keep a close eye on. So one is subscription services. So we all have a lot of subscription services for things that we either entertainment or delivery services, et cetera. Those can be really expensive and you don't really realize how much you're spending in them. The average person in America spends about $300 a month on subscription services. If you put that money into your retirement, that's going to be a giant nest egg when you need it. And so if you put in $300 today, that could be like, $15,000 in 20 years. So my advice to people is review those subscription services, cut them off if you don't need them, or consolidate. So that's one area of big savings that people can have. And the second one is the explosion of buy now, pay later services, right? Where you can buy things on that service instead of a credit card. Those are coming back to bite people. So I would recommend not using that, keeping your credit cards low as possible, and making sure you're not paying high fees on credit cards.
Wow. Well, first of all, thank you very much for reminding me to cancel this subscription service that I got because I had it on my calendar. It came up today, as a matter of fact.
Did it? Wow. See, we're on the same wavelength.
Yeah, and I completely forgot to log in and everything. So I just got to kind of go back and find out who it was so I can cancel it properly. So with scaling back on things like that, what are some tips to reduce what we spend without too much pain?
I mean, I think we should first look at like what we need and what we want. And I would start trying to trim off the wants. I hate this idea of like, well, don't go out and have a coffee, save money on not getting a latte. We all need our coffee, right? We all need to be able to watch movies on demand sometimes, but it's more like that other stuff you don't really need, maybe pulling back. Those little things can add up. So I would just say, set apart like an hour like you're going to do and like look at your subscription services, look at where you're spending money, and just see if you can dial back in ways that you don't notice. I mean, we don't want to feel like we're living these really constrained lives, but I mean, for all of us, there are ways that we can pull back our spending a bit. And if you put money into savings, that's going to make you feel better, right? You'll just have a better feeling about yourself and life in general.
So you do want to live in the moment, but also plan for later. And you're kind of an expert on that, the founder of Icon. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about this retirement savings plan and what makes it different.
Well, first of all, I've been in the retirement industry for years. And, I would say that when you talk to people, either business owners or even individuals using a retirement plan, when you kind of bring up the topic, it's sort of like something dreadful that people want to talk about, right? It's kind of like going to the dentist, like something you need to do, but you don't really want to do it because it's super complicated and it's hard for people to understand. And the industry has not done a good job of making it easy for people. So Icon, sort of the mission behind Icon and why we built it is like using technology, we can radically simplify how people save for retirement. So we've pulled out all of the high fees, all the jargon, all the junk that's in there, and deliver people a really high quality, easy to use plan that's super simple, right? Savings is hard. We've just been talking about how hard it is for folks to save. So my philosophy is the act of savings is hard. Let's make it really easy to invest and save for your future by making it really streamlined and easy, and really built a retirement plan that's built to help individuals save, not cause confusion and more anxiety around retirement savings.
Got you. So you have any advice that we would need for taking care of ourselves and why that's good for financial advice as well?
Yeah, I think everybody needs a retirement plan. We're all going to live to be 100 years old. And so we're going to need money to live on as we age. And so everybody needs one. And even if you can start off saving a little bit, every little bit helps and adds up over time because you get compounding interest, and just don't touch it. Just invest it. The tricky thing for people is the idea of fees, right? So maybe as you're reviewing your expenses, I would also look and see how much, if you have a retirement plan, if you don't have one, you should look at how much you're paying for that retirement plan, because it can make a big difference where you end up with at the end, like a huge difference, like a crazy, surprising difference. We have some illustrations of this on our website, but if you pay high fees, it'll take a big chunk out of your nest egg. So I would really look at the fees that you're paying for your retirement plan. People don't realize they're paying fees for that, and they are. So I would just do a little digging around and see what you can do. Because if you do that now, it'll kind of set you up on the right trajectory for the future.
Great advice.
So you mentioned that website. What is it? How people can follow you from
so it's iconssavingsplan.com. We have information there for both employers and for individual savers. We get a lot of questions just about the retirement industry. So we have a whole financial academy there where people can interact and get unbiased information about how to make financial decisions that are in your own best interest.
Awesome. Awesome.
Thank you so much for joining us. Great advice.
Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day.
You too.
Take care.
All right, let's continue this. Ways that you can take care of your health and well-being coming up next. Welcome back. All right, taking care of our health is probably the most important thing we can do for ourselves and for our loved ones.
Absolutely. And Valle del Sol Community Health in Arizona offers integrated services to keep mind, body, and spirit all in tune.
All right, well, let's take a look at how this team works to create a healthier community.
Valle del Sol started over 50 years ago, 1970. The goal was to establish social services, behavioral health services primarily, substance abuse services. The main goal at that point was to serve the veteran community that was returning from the Vietnam War. At that point, there was a lack of services for the Latino community, so that was the main goal, to have a place for the community to come and be served in their language and, with people that spoke Spanish. Throughout the years, there's been a need for additional services, so we started offering primary care, and the whole point of that was to integrate not only the physical health, but also the mental health, behavioral health, social aspects. But the goal, again, is for us to be able to not just only address the one thing, right? We want to be able to be here for the community and in terms of everything. It's better to really find connections, and that way the person feels supported and they don't feel like they're alone when it comes to their health.
Valle del Sol is open to anybody in the community. We do serve a majority of Hispanic and Latinos. The ailments or the chronic diseases that we see a lot, specifically in our Hispanic community, are things like high blood pressure, hypertension, diabetes, high cholesterol, depression, anxiety. These are all things that we as Latinos suffer from and are the things that we mostly come and see the doctor for. Here at Valle del Sol, we also offer not just primary care services for adults, but we also offer pediatric health. Dr. Wooten, our pediatrician, can see them for their well visit if they were behind on their developmental milestones. Then Dr. Wooten can address that. He can set them up with a catch-up schedule for their immunizations. They can get their flu shot, they can get their COVID shot, all in the same visit.
When it comes to Valle, the awesome part and something that I love about Valle is that when you come here, we don't only talk about the one need, right? We love to have the family identify. So, ¿quiénes son las personas importantes para ti? And the reason why we ask that is because when it comes to health, professionals can tell you what to do. But if you get the buy-in from the family and the family understands, then la abuelita, el tío, everybody will help address those needs. Los invito a que sean pacientes de Valle del Sol. We have different locations. We're across the valley. We don't say no to anybody. We don't turn people away. If we don't provide services, we will help you connect. But for the most part, we're a really good place to come and get all of the services that you need. So come to Valle.
I love how, sometimes I think we focus on health or fitness if we have a goal or something we're working towards, but that this group's mission was centered on helping veterans. Health important at all phases of our lives. I love it.
So true.
All right. Well, you can get more information about the services they offer at Valle del Sol on their websites right there.
That's right. Well, ladies, straight ahead, there's still more of Main Street Living, so you tuning in, don't go anywhere. Hey guys, we have come to the end of the show. Welcome back to Main Street Living. Brandy, you still look a little confused.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of how much I'd like to try glass blowing, but that fear that it would just look like a huge Pinterest failure. Like, is that glass? Yeah. Oh, is it? I'll stick with his beautiful art.
Awesome. Well, in case any of you missed it or you want to share the episode with someone else, just find us on our Cox Contour app to get more.
That's right. And make sure you catch our new episodes on Mondays at 9 p.m. local time. Until then, we'll see you next time on Main Street Living.